From Gaza to Syria, Sudan, Afghanistan, the DRC and Haiti. A list too long to name all the places where humanitarian needs have escalated due to man-made disasters, and a humanitarian community struggling under the weight of desperation and a diminishing resource pool to counter those emergencies.
It's clear coming into this job that the international system is under greater threat than at any time since the Second World War. And so this is not a drill right now. This was already a tough time to be a humanitarian. I said when I came into the job that we were already overstretched, under-resourced, and literally under attack, with last year being the deadliest year on record to be a humanitarian worker. But of course, it's far tougher for the people who we serve. 300 million plus right now need humanitarian support. And so the pace and the scale of the funding cuts that we've faced are, of course, a seismic shock to the sector. Many will die because that aid is drying up.
He was asked directly about the steep cuts from the United States and its dismantling of the US Agency for Development that has terminated 83% of the programs it supported, affecting humanitarian organizations around the world, including in South Africa.
We have been reliant in recent years, over-reliant on US funding. Almost half of our appeals have been funded by the American taxpayer. And it's important to recognize that we shouldn't ever take that for granted, particularly in a period of economic difficulty and in a period when many governments are in retreat from the world. Now, I don't believe you build a golden age by retreating from the world, but we do have to recognize the context which governments are taking these decisions in. And of course, it's not just the American government. I'm spending a lot more of my time than I'd expected in other donor capitals, trying to shore up the case for what we do on US funding.
Fletcher explained that the weeks ahead would define how the humanitarian community and the people they serve emerge from what he called a sustained challenge to their legitimacy.
Talk about how we prevent the crises.
As we pressed him on the inability of the international community to address root causes that lead to conflicts and their subsequent disasters in the first place.
So this is a real challenge, and it's exactly the right question. Now, whose job is it to then end those conflicts? Well, I think there's a collective responsibility for the international community to get much better at switching off conflicts. A big part of the challenge for us is that these wars are lasting longer and they're more ferocious, they're more intense. So that combination of the duration and the intensity is what's driving our numbers in the wrong direction. You know, that bottom line number of 307 million, which defines whether we're doing our job or not, is only going in the wrong direction. So yes, I would like to see the Security Council step up several gears in response. I'd like to see member states step up several gears in response. And, you know, the international community as a whole finding ways to end this conflict.
And while there is suffering in so many places, Fletcher shared what he saw on a February visit to Gaza.
I'd been in Nir Oz, one of the kibbutz that was hit on October the 7th, where 1 in 4 people were killed or taken hostage. So I'd heard those stories, met the survivors there, but then drove in through the Erez crossing into the north of Gaza. And in a way, the shock is even greater then, because the devastation, the desolation in northern Gaza is even greater than it is in the south. And for miles and miles, it's just rubble. You know, my staff trying to find their way back to their homes using GPS because there were no landmarks to navigate by. You couldn't see what was a school or what was a hospital, what was a home. And I've said this before, you know, one of the first shocking things I saw driving in is the dogs going through the rubble. And I said to my colleague who was with me, why are the dogs so fat? And he said, well, because the dogs are looking for corpses. And you notice that the people are thin. And then you see that for miles and miles and miles. And I don't think anything can prepare you for that. And every single person I spent time with is deeply traumatized by that.
A sobering moment for the international community, lurching from one crisis to the next. Shervin Bryce-Pease, SABC News, New York.